although I'm stood here this evening dressed as a glamorous, I'm actually... Yeah, I know. So where's this come from, exactly? Yeah, it's fat, love. It's just all just bothered. My belly button's here. Okay, just behind this little bra. Alright, everything's just... Yeah, it's alright. I just thought I'd like shatter the mental image there for you a little bit. Okay, I'll explain what's going on. We're not like being all famous and having cameras, but we're in a modern world. So that's Facebook. And over here, this is very exciting, alright, you know Channel 5? Well, it's not them. Okay, so that's not what's happening. There's going to be a Benidorm documentary made by people actually in Benidorm, alright, and it's going to be sort of like a proper behind-the-scenes thing. So you've got to be a good audience tonight and maybe look popular, alright? So laugh even when I'm not funny. I like when Thank you very much, fella. I like that little moustache. You could tickle my fancy with that, so you could.
So, things are going well. I've been in Sinatra's for a good long while, good few years. I got pretty settled in there. And I was doing some other gigs and things around town. And then, and it was one night where I was doing one of those extra gigs, actually. It was that Friday, I was doing the West End Showbar, and as Mark, before I was going to go do Ruby, and there was this announcement that, like, everything had to close by a certain time and that we were going into a lockdown, and everyone's like, what even is that? I'll never forget that night. I'll never forget that night, because it was like, all of a sudden we just had to go. I remember driving through the streets, and at that time I had two housemates, and that's quite relevant, really. And they were with me, and we drove through, and there's all the big screens just had it all up, like, you must go home, like there is a lockdown in place from this time, and everyone was just sort of turfed out. And then I remember saying, you know, when you look back now, and then I just went, I can't have this, I might be out of work for 2 weeks. I remember, so, you know, when you just want to go back and just give yourself a slap, like, 2 weeks? Do you think that's all it's going to be? My goodness. So at the time that happened, I'd moved in with my friend Claire, because I needed a bit of purpose in my life, if I was honest. I was kind of out partying and after work and just eating out, wasting my money and stuff. And my friend Claire, she was sort of struggling, and she had a little boy, and I've always been like in his life, I'm like his Uncle Mark. I'm picking him up from school tomorrow, actually. I thought, rather than me living in my own apartment and her living in her own apartment, why don't we get a house? So we got a house together so that I could have a bit more of a structured sort of family life, because, you know, no husband was coming, nobody else was there. So I used to call her wifey, so we moved in together. Unfortunately, thank goodness that happened, because she'd got me to be a bit more careful with my finances, and I'd saved up a bit of money. I've never saved up any money in my life, but she would help me to be a bit more disciplined. And she'd met somebody, and he'd just moved in with us. He moved in just after Christmas, and then lockdown happened in March. So we were like in this big house with a pool and stuff like that, and like this little commune. And then lockdown happened, and what we did was, we kind of, as it sort of transpired, it was then very clear that I wasn't going to get a lot of money from the government, and my income went down by 90% overnight, like that, gone. So then it was like, well, what we're going to do? How long is this going to go on for? And we managed to get some government help, which took a few months down the line, to help clear the rent debt. And then we moved out, and when we got, we all shared an apartment. Then we had to go into an apartment. And we just helped each other through. If I had not had them, I wouldn't have survived. You know, we lived on my savings at the start, and then my savings went, and then Alex, was a plumber, and he could work before me. So he used to, he could go out to work, and then he could kind of keep us. So we were like this little family unit, and I think that time period, it really showed who you could rely on. It showed who your friends were. I did some live shows for people in the UK. People were extraordinarily generous. I think people in the UK really felt for the people over here that they were getting a different kind of level of benefit, and yeah, it was scary because I'd gone from having quite a generous income. I wasn't rich by any means, but quite a generous income, to just not having enough to make ends meet. It just wasn't enough, and we just kind of made it through. And anytime there was a little bit of reprieve with the things, you know, and things open back up again for a little bit, I was doing all sorts. I was doing a show with Gareth Fulton and the Hypnotist. We did a joint show together, which was just born out of friendship, really. And we sort of filled out a whole evening because it was cheaper for the venue, because there wasn't all the holiday makers coming over. So we managed to sort of scrape through with that. I started doing quizzes. Claire was doing all the quiz questions, and then I were presenting them with Gareth. We were doing that, and she was like making posters and doing things at home. We were just making it through, really. It was really tough, but in some ways it sort of made you sort of find a resilience and find a sense of community. I and some others set up an organisation called A Helping Hand, which was for people to be able to get like assistance. There was a group of us, like a little committee, and we were helping to, if people really stuck and wanted to donate like old clothes or all that kind of thing. And we could give it out to people that needed it and stuff like that. We did some work with that, did some shopping for people, and collaborated with other people that were trying to help out at that time. It was an extraordinary time period, it really was. And one of the things that I actually struggled with was when I came back, really. It was a bit like, it was such an extraordinary time that I was a bit like, I mean, for one thing, I mean, I couldn't walk in heels anymore. I had to reteach myself how to walk in heels. It was ridiculous. My feet had gone like, yay, we're not doing that anymore. And I'm like, actually, I know you're pushing 40, but you need to go out and earn some money. And I was walking around the house in heels and stuff like that, trying to get my feet used to it again. I mean, it's little things like that you just don't think of, you know, like, and I went back, and then Sinatra's, I worked in them, and it shut. I was devastated. I mean, they nearly didn't have any stock left because I nearly drank the bar dry that night. And it was a struggle. And they kept me going within some of their other venues. I sort of worked in Joker's, Sinatra's Premium, and up at Tropical. But it was certainly not the same as when I had a residency. And I was a bit lost for a little while. I got really fat again, and I got really down, and I went into a bit of a depression. And that wasn't in COVID, it was afterwards. It was a bit like, because I'd waited so long, it was like there, I was waiting for it, and then it was just like, I kind of got it, and then it kind of all fell through for me again, and it was rough. And then getting here kind of saved me again, really, because I needed somewhere where I could sort of do what I do.
You drove to Benidorm? From Wales? What, all in one car? No. Yeah.
It just so happened, you know, there was a resident act here, and then there wasn't, and I came and covered a show, and then he offered me the job, and then I've been here ever since, and sort of built back up again. But it's always in the back of my mind that, like, you've got to be a bit more careful and have some other strings to your bow.
Looks like